So here we come to focus. Yep, I'm going to need you to focus. Now, when we talk about focus, we have found that there's a few things that they've changed to it, a few good things, a few bad things, but nonetheless, let's get into this video, shall we, and show you why it's better. So first off, let's talk a little bit about focus. Now, we have shown prior in other videos about how boomerang can be better when you're using it. Now, to get the most damage out of your rifles, you're going to need to use that specialist, the sniper one. But is boomerang always going to be the best for you? We can test this with this entire build because the build truly hasn't changed much of anything. We'll still get the group play for the Coyotes mask, the regular focus, which is right here, or I should say the perfect focus, versus using, say, glass cannon, and why glass cannon is actually worse when doing these types of builds, because that incoming damage can actually make it to where you put on med kits, and then you're not getting that. But if you want to run a focus like this, you could easily, if you're using glass cannon, use the 3-piece glass cannon, which would be the gift backpack, the sacrifice, and then a piece of providence for your holster down here. But focus will allow you to get more damage out without taking in as much and still be able to stack the damage, just like this with these pieces. But we will show that the perfect focus is stronger when using things like the Kingbreaker or other things than using, say, a weapon type damage one. Like this Fenris one. As we can see, even though it gives us 10% assault rifle damage, we have 50% right here versus 60%, which actually applies even more because that's technically 60. 10 plus 50 is 60, and then we got this. But no matter what, even the numbers of the perfect focus, it's still going to hit higher. So let's demonstrate this first and why a lot of people would mess up on their builds by doing this right here, because you're limiting it to a very specific weapon. So for instance, some of these SMGs, I'll even show that later on, some SMGs, even LMGs, even those, they basically get extra damage from the perfect focus because we're going to be able to get those specific scopes onto these specific weapons to do it. Now, the number one that I'm having a problem with right here, which is this one, the Vindicator, it is technically a 30 times headshot scope. So if we come to this, you can scroll down and you'll see it's right here. This is the same scope as what it shows to be used. The developers have said that this is supposed to be working or fixed. It is not when it came out to the gameplay. So we still have some bugs and things like that that need to be fixed. Now, if we were to do this, again, we have our damage. And as we're building up the focus, as you can see right down here, once we get that AR to hit, we're hitting for 1328381. Now, when we get to the health, it's 1488. So if we swap this out to a Fenris one with focus to prove the damage differences, we will put on this critical hit damage here, just like the critical hit damage was on the Araldi's. And let's go ahead and just get some damages, right? Now, once we build up our focus completely to the max, we will be able to see what the difference is. And should be now, again, less. Even though you would think it would be the same amount, it's not. It's actually less. So if we even get it down to the health, and you see 488 versus 467, it's still less. So that there means that the Araldi's is still going to be better for any weapon you were to have on your build versus having a very specific weapon type damage on your build. So now that we got that out of the way, let's test boomerang versus, say, was it rifleman and behind you and flatline. And you see right here, the boomerang keeps going all over the place. So even if I got that boomerang, you see how I hit for red. The boomerang is not a consistent deal, but when we do hit it, we can hit for 6035 mil per headshot. Now that's if we're landing our headshots and everything else, we get the higher damage. So again, we max at 6035. So the cool part about tinkering is we don't have to leave from right here. We can easily just tinker and put on rifleman and other things. Now rifleman is going to be the highest damaging piece for your rifles. Only problem is if you're not landing headshots, you're not getting the damage either. So if I were to just start landing body shots on long range targets, it's not worth it. Rifleman is great for, say, lower or weaker rifles and basically being up close and personal. But once you get it maxed out, as you can see, 6.2. But if we hit the body shots, it's going to dissipate, and that's not a good thing. We don't want to dissipate our weapon damage. So again, Rifleman really good for those close quarter combats where you can land headshots easily versus long range. You're probably going to go with something like Boomerang to get a little bit more out. And that's where it becomes player's choice. But let me introduce y'all to, from the Boomerang and the Rifleman, let me introduce you to Behind You on this. Now, Behind You is still kind of quirky, where even if they're not targeting you and you put a decoy down or someone else has got the aggro, you can get this damage out. But in PvP, it's instantaneous. There's nothing you have to worry about currently right now to lose that. But Flatline, as you see, it's 15%. It is the same amount of damage. It says 15, it says 15. So we're going to prove that here in the shooting range, that they are the exact equal, because some people are saying that it's higher. Some people are saying that it's stronger. It's not. You can see 5948. We hit for a max of 5948, right? As the numbers still kind of go up and down at places, we're still hitting for 5948. So that's going to be with the talent Behind You. Now, let's do Flatline, right? So if we were to take this exact same one and go to Flatline, we can prove that it is 15. So all those people who say that it's more damage, it's not. It's just how it works in PvP is it's instantaneous damage. So if I put on something that spots like this, I get the instantaneous damage the exact same. So if no one's using, say, pulse resistant build, I would get this same amount of damage. So here we go. There it is, 5948. So just to put the number up on the board, there it is, 5948. That didn't stay on the board. I hit a few more times. And there it is, 5948. So as you can see right there, it is 15% damage still. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't know about focus is you can even do this right here. I bet y'all don't know what weapon I'm using right now before I actually show you. Guarantee you don't. But I can crit all day long. High crits at close range for a lot of damage. So let's show you what it is. It's an SMG. Not everybody knows that you can make SMGs crit like that. Some don't know that you can put these types of things on here. So up close and personal, this thing right here can crit for high, crazy numbers with a focus build. Problem is, trying to get that focus to stay and last up close and personal can be challenging. Because again, the range is only 18 meters. Once you get past 18 meters, the damage starts to drop off. So a lot of people also say that doesn't matter. Yes, it does, especially in PvP. I have to know where my max crit is going to be. If I'm fighting outside of that range right there of 15 meters, I'm not going to get really high damage. I'm not. And I need to know where I'm going to get the best of my damage at. So this is where focus and all this does matter for your range. So again, there's other things, not just SMGs. There's some LMGs as well, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the LMGs. Now, my favorite LMG is going to be this one, the GR9. Why? Because this one right here gives you automatic crit chance while being able to use focus because it's an 8-time scope. And then we can put all kinds of mods to crit even farther away. And this one lands shots way high, far away, especially for 200 rounds. So when I scope in like this, as you can see, there's my focus starting to stack. There's the damage slowly going up. You can do this with this LMG. It is beautiful and it comes standard. And because that one doesn't give headshot damage, it gives crit chance. This allows for this LMG to do some insane damage. The only problem is, as you saw, I lost my focus. But if I keep pulling that trigger and then immediately when I get done, I re-aim, it restacks. But I found that there was a bug with this because we used to be able to stop for a period of time, re-aim, and keep moving down the road while doing this stuff. So let's get into that. Now with the change to focus being able with the shield, we got to show this first to explain a few things. before we get into the movement part, because this right here is a little bit frustrating, especially for, say, like legendary missions and everything else. Now, I understand why they took this out, because it affected PvP and players couldn't shoot, but in PvE, this didn't affect anybody. This made it to where you could actually do damage without getting damage taken to you. So this didn't affect PvE, but because it affected PvP, they nerfed that for that, and it also affects PvE. So this is something that they took away from PvE. Now, we can still use this, it's just how to use it. You have to be a little bit farther away from the wall. So I can't be up against the wall like this. I have to be backed up away from the wall just a little bit to be able to do the shield peek. Still, it's just my shield is going to stick out and my arm. So these NPCs, as you can see, in a straight line area where they can just focus at me, I can demonstrate this better so they can still shoot my shield. They can still see me. So I have to be careful on how to use this. So let's get into the part where focus diminishes. So in open areas like this mission right here, where we would fight NPCs, we have to be very picky of where we use cover. Now there's still lots of cover, and again, this is a cover-based shooter, so you need to know where you're going to be using your cover. But as I were to kill NPCs like this, and then I need to move up, as you see, I'm still able to stack it if I slowly move with a shield. But the moment I drop the shield, boom, it instantly goes away. Did you catch that?
Let's see that in an instant replay.
So yeah, now if you want to stay aimed like this, you can't drop a shield, you can't do anything. While this, you can see the shield will still allow me to move and keep the stacks going. If you drop your skill or your shield, I should say, and then you start to go to re-aim, it will dissipate if you do not hold it for a period of time. So you can't even let go of that trigger button to scope down and keep it going for very long. This is a big issue that is probably going to make players stay away from focus and just go straight for glass, while giving them the advantage of having the high damage and not losing it like we did before. As you can see, as long as I hold that trigger down, which I just did right here, I could keep it going. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about, let me demonstrate right here without any NPCs nearby. So as I'm trying to stack this up, if I were to start running like this and not pull the trigger, I lose it. But if I run again a second time, it's gone. It goes within a split second. It didn't used to do that. You used to have about a 3-second interval of aiming like this, stacking it up, and then drop it, and then the 3 seconds you could re-aim after it was fully stacked and keep moving. But the moment you start running like that for even 1 second, it goes away. It's a 1 second versus a 3 second of old. So that's kind of a little bit of a downside. But that's focus, ladies and gentlemen.